Hey everyone, welcome back to the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. Thanks for rejoining us. Hey, really quickly, I watched a documentary today on Netflix called Seaspiracy. It's from director Ali Tabrizi, and it's about this young man who is very passionate about sea life, whales, and all that stuff, even from a small child. And he decides he wants to do a documentary on how whales are being killed and dolphins are being killed. So he thinks it's going to be a fairly straightforward documentary about that, about sea life. But what he encounters through the course of the film is that he goes to look at X and he's told, well, if you're looking at this, you need to see this. And if you remember a few years ago, there was a documentary called The Cove, I believe, about the dolphin roundup in Japan. I believe it was Japan. And so he gets to go. He goes and clandestinely films that, and he sees it, and he hadn't, that, and that leads him to another thing, and that leads him to another thing, and eventually it leads him into the world of commercial fishing and how dolphin safe food is not really dolphin safe, how all of these corporate certifications for sustainability and dolphin safe, whale safe, um, all of these governmental agencies that are supposedly uh, supposed to be monitoring fishing as opposed to just plastics, which is kind of where his head was first after seeing all the stories about these whales being washed up dead with stomachs full of plastic, and of course the movement toward no plastic cutlery, single-use plastic straws, and he was doing his part trying not to do that, trying to get restaurants in his area to commit to not using those kind of things. But what he learns about that leads him to other places, and so it becomes this evolving documentary about commercial fishing as a whole, fishing, shrimping, whaling, which still happens even though it's technically outlawed. Japan does it. In Scandinavia, occasionally small scale whale hunts will happen for this reason or that, but it's very traditionally done, but even that is considered too much. So what starts out as seeming to be a documentary that's going to be very heavy in its insistence that humans and their plastic straws and their plastic knives and forks from their takeout places and their 6-pack soda can rings are the biggest evil perpetrated on the planet. He learns about plastic fishing gear. He learns about overfishing. He learns about the layering of species in the ocean and how even though they might overfish fish X, the collateral damage from the fishing affects species Y, which has these other effects. So it becomes this very, I hesitate to say academic look at the problem, but it is incredibly informative and in a very logical way. And his what some people would call his environmental zealotry at the beginning is somewhat tempered. He's still convinced that humans are putting too much crap in the ocean, and he's not wrong. But the source and type of things that humans are putting in the oceans, and then how we're treating the oceans on top of that, that his perspective on that changes throughout the course of the film, which is really great. So we get to learn a lot about the processes of these things as we're going through the film. And from someone who's maybe very wide-eyed and idealistic at the beginning, whose eyes are they're still wide, but he's not quite as idealistic as he was at the beginning by the time we reach the end. It's very reminiscent of a film I looked at earlier this year called Sacred Cow, in which the documentarians we're looking at the industrial farming and about, yes, cows, the amount of cows that we farm does X, but there's this consideration, there's this other thing, nothing exists in a vacuum and nothing acts in a vacuum. So yes, we put too much plastic in the ocean, but yes, we may farm too many cows, but not necessarily. It depends. So I think together you get a nice look at the land-based human farming and the ocean-based human farming, because we're farming fish. And he addresses fish farms as well, thinking that those were going to be some sort of seafood panacea for humanity, and he's disabused of that notion as he delves into what goes on. Seaspiracy winds up as a follow the money kind of documentary. I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix now. You can totally watch it. So go to Netflix. Seaspiracy. That's SEA Spiracy. Yeah, definitely check it out. It's really informative. It is not overly preachy. I don't necessarily like to be beat about the head and shoulders in my documentaries on subjects like this. And it really isn't. So that's nice. It does present everything, and you get to follow his logic through the film from beginning to end, which is really great because we all kind of learn this at the same time. So check it out, Seaspiracy on Netflix. Till next time, don't forget to like us, follow us on social media at VS Movie Podcast. Go to the website, vsmoviepodcast.com. Give us your email. Promise we won't spam you. You'll just get notified when we post stuff, and that is it. And till next time, stay safe, take it easy, get your vaccine if you have the opportunity to get it. I'll be getting my second one soon. And we will talk to everyone later. Bye-bye.